Hello, my dear listeners. I hope your day has started well and will continue beautifully. With these good wishes, let us begin today's topic. And today we will talk about the Unit 10 Monopolies and Oligopolies. My name is Kahorva Nigina Pavahidovna. I'm an English teacher of Kashmir State Technical University. So let's begin our lesson. Here are what we're going to gain by the end of the lesson. So they are the followings. First, grasp the fundamental definitions of monopoly and oligopoly. And we will differentiate between various market forms based on competition levels. Thirdly, we will identify and discuss real examples of monopolies and oligopolies. And also we will enhance our vocabulary supply with relating economic words and improve our critical thinking by developing stronger analytical and discussion skills in economic contexts. Let's get it started. Let's start with a brief discussion in pairs. You should consider these questions. Why do some companies operate without any competitors? Is it beneficial or detrimental when a single entity controls an entire market? Justify your answers. Can you identify any industries where only a few dominant companies exist? And now let's dive into the discussion of two important market structures in economics, monopoly and oligopoly. These two systems are very different, and understanding them helps us see how businesses operate in the real world. First, let's talk about the monopoly. A monopoly happens when one company controls the whole market for a product or service. Because there are no real competitors, this company has strong power. It can decide prices, control supply, and influence customers. Consumers usually have very limited choices. For example, in many countries, electricity or water supply is often a monopoly because one company provides the service. Another example is Google in online search because it dominates the global search engine market. Microsoft was also considered close to a monopoly in computer operating systems for many years because of Windows. Now let's move to oligopoly. An oligopoly happens when a small number of large companies control the market. There is competition, but only between a few powerful firms. These companies watch each other carefully. If one company changes prices, introduces a new product, or gives discounts, the others often react quickly. For example, the smartphone market is an oligopoly with companies like Apple, Samsung, Xiaomi, and Huawei. The soft drink market is another example where Coca-Cola and Pepsi are dominant players. In air travel, some countries have only a few airlines controlling most flights. In social media advertising, companies like Meta, Google, and TikTok compete strongly. Now let's compare them clearly. In a monopoly, there is one seller. In an oligopoly, there are a few sellers. In a monopoly, prices are usually higher because customers have no alternatives. In an oligopoly, prices are more competitive but still not as low as in a fully competitive market. In a monopoly, it's very difficult for new firms to enter because of patents, high costs, government control, or technology. In an oligopoly, entry is also difficult because large firms already dominate in the market. So let's think about real life. If only one internet provider existed in your city, that would be a monopoly. If there are 3 or 4 internet providers competing, that is an oligopoly. So, to conclude, a monopoly means one king in the market, and oligopoly means a few giants competing for power. Both systems exist in the world today, and both greatly affect prices, quality, and consumer choice. Alright, my dear listener, and now I'm going to test your understanding of monopolies and oligopolies with these following questions. You should think about it a little and prepare your answers. So, first question: what precisely defines a monopoly in economic terms? Second question: explain why monopolies have the ability to control prices. Third question: what is the key characteristic that defines an oligopoly? Fourth question: how does the interdependence of firms manifest in oligopoly markets? And the last one: provide one concrete real-life example for both a monopoly and an oligopoly. Well done, dear students. Now let's move on to the next exercise, where we should define if the statements are true or false. Just as usual, you'll be given 30 seconds, but you may take extra time by pressing pause, and after 30 seconds, we'll check the answers. Now, my dear listeners, let's check the true or false statements together and explain each answer clearly. First one: monopoly operates with numerous competitors. It's false. A monopoly has only one dominant seller, not many competitors. That's why it has strong market power. Second one: oligopolies typically exhibit high barriers to enter for new businesses, and that's true. It's often difficult for new firms to enter oligopoly markets because large companies already control the industry and require high investment. Third one: in a monopolistic market, consumers benefit from a wide array of choices. This is false. In a monopoly, consumers' choice is usually limited because only one company controls the market. The fourth one: firms within oligopoly markets tend to make decisions independently of one another, and that's false. In an oligopoly, firms closely watch each other. If one company changes prices or products, others usually react. Monopolies possess significant power to influence market prices, and that's true. Since there is little or no competition, monopolies often have the power to set higher prices. Sixth one: the airline industry serves as a classic example of an oligopoly. That's true. In many countries, only a few major airlines dominate the market, so it's a good example of oligopoly. Seventh one: oligopoly firms have the potential to form cartels to collude on prices. And that's true. Some oligopoly firms may secretly cooperate to fix prices or reduce competition. This is called a cartel. Eighth one: competition is most intense in markets characterized by a monopoly. And that's false. Competition is weakest in a monopoly because only one seller exists. Now, my dear listeners, let's continue with the matching exercise. We will match the terms with their correct definitions and explain each one clearly. Alright, dear listener, if you have done, let's check the answers together. The first one, A. Monopoly is a market structure dominated by a single seller. In a monopoly, one company controls the market and has little competition. Next one, B. Oligopoly. This is a market structure where a few large firms dominate the industry. Examples include airlines, smartphones, and car industries in many countries. C. Barrier to entry is obstacles or hindrances preventing new firms from entering a market. These barriers can include high costs, patents, government rules, or strong existing competitors. Next one, D. Cartel is a group of firms that agree to fix prices to limit competition. A cartel is when companies secretly cooperate instead of competing. They may fix prices or control supply. Next one, E. Price maker. It's a firm that possesses sufficient market power to set the price for its product. A price maker can influence prices instead of simply accepting market prices. F1. Competition. This is the rivalry among firms selling similar products, often involving price, quality, and service. Competition usually benefits consumers through better prices and improved quality. Next one. Market share, G1. This is the percentage of total sales within a market that is controlled by a specific firm. For example, if one company sells 40% of all phones, it has a 40% market share. And the last one, economies of scale. This is cost advantages derived from producing goods on a very large scale. And this means large companies can produce goods more cheaply because they produce in high volume. Now we will watch an interesting interview where successful entrepreneurs give advice to those who are on the path of starting small business. So listen attentively and note key advice for yourself. Have a good watching.
The best advice to a small business owner, or for that matter, a large business owner, is never stop thinking about how to delight your customer. Not to satisfy your customer, but to delight your customer. And when you wake up in the morning, start thinking about it. During the day, think about it. At night, think about it, and then dream about it. And no company's ever failed that had millions of delighted customers. And you start with them, and you get them one at a time.
There's no substitute for hard work. The best time you're ever going to have is when it starts out just you, and it'd be great if it grows into a wonderful, big, profitable company. But you're never going to be happier and more satisfied than you are in the first year or so of getting your business going, because you do every single thing. You sweep up when everybody goes home. You're the first one in. You plug in the coffee pot so when your people come in, they have hot coffee and can get straight to work. You work through lunch, set an example for them. But there's no substitute for hard work. People say luck, yes, but the harder you work, the luckier you get.
My advice to a small business owner or any entrepreneur would be not to be discouraged if the business you end up with is not the one you started out to pursue. Because so often you encounter difficulties, you encounter failures, and the important piece is to learn from each of those very quickly and to pivot and to move on to the idea that works.
Of course, you have to be close to your products, close to your customers, and think about them. That's the most important, but don't forget to think about your business, what your plans are, what you want to do next, how to take your business to the next level. Again, think about being in your business, but think about your business as well.
My best advice is to really work hard to clarify what your purpose is and be able to articulate that, be able to communicate it, in a simple sentence. And the reason that's important is as you bring people into your company, I think the most important question you ask them is, why are you here? Why do you want to join this company? And if you hear that purpose back, if you hear that passion around that purpose, it makes everything a whole lot easier. Any skill can be learned and taught, but passion cannot.
Being an entrepreneur can be a roller coaster ride at times. You will have great days, you will have not so great days. You may even from time to time have an awful day. You've got to stay focused and stay level-headed and keep your feet on the ground.
Companies that do well at some level, even though it may not be written down on a piece of paper, need to have kind of a clear strategy of why they're different, why they're adding value, why they're producing something special that customers need and that they're not getting now. So I think if there's a clear sense of strategy and you can get all the people aligned around that, then you get a lot more power than if you're just scrambling and working harder and harder and without that clear direction. So that's my one piece of advice.
That was a really insightful video, and we will continue our lesson. So here we should choose 3 ideas that the speakers didn't give in the video. You'll be given 30 seconds to think, but you may return to the video, watch it again, and after that we will compare our answers. So now let's check the answers. So the ideas that were not given in the video were the followings. First, it's D, spend heavily early to create a powerful image. The second one is G, follow competitors closely and use the same methods. And the third one is I, grow as fast as possible before competitors react. Now this is the last part of our lesson. This is your home task. You are going to work on a mini business case study. You will choose one major company such as Google, Apple, Microsoft, or Coca-Cola and analyze it using the concepts we have learned in class. In your essay, you need to answer 4 key questions. First, you will decide whether the company operates closer to a monopoly or an oligopoly, and explain your reasoning using real-life examples. Secondly, you will identify the barriers to entry to this industry. And you should think about what makes it difficult for new companies to enter the market. It could be technology, strong branding, high costs, or customer loyalty. Thirdly, you will analyze how much control the company has over prices. Does it set prices freely, or does competition limit its decisions? And finally, you will evaluate the level of competition in the market. Is it strong or weak? And you must support your answers with evidence. Your essay should be between 200 and 250 words. Try to use the vocabulary and ideas we have practiced in class. And finally, I just want to say something to you all. I'm truly happy to see how your thinking and understanding are improving step by step. And being your teacher and contributing even a small part to your learning journey is something I value deeply. And I hope you continue to grow, ask questions, and develop your knowledge with confidence. Thank you, and let's continue improving together.